Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today I've got my mate with me. I'm really buzzing about this. He's been on before, but that was with his band Pablo, or Lexi's band Pablo. They're all just a band together and I love that. But now we get to go in the depths with our mate Motormouf.
I don't know what that sound is, but yeah.
Usually, mate, I put a crowd noise underneath it. But for you being here, I'm going to make everything happen. I'm going to get confetti
Fireworks,
in here.
sirens.
You warrant that, mate. You deserve it, if anything.
Damn right.
You heard over there.
Motormouf in the house now. You're in trouble.
Do you know, being your mate, it's your fault I even go into the American accent all the time.
I can't help it, man. It was just from like growing up, being like 12 years old, growing up like watching Def Comedy Jam stand-up comedians and Richard Pryor and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air like on a daily basis, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, what?
Was that your sort of growing up material then?
Yeah, I mean, like growing up, I wanted to really be a comedy actor. Like Eddie Murphy and Jim Carrey were like my gods.
Wow.
They were my absolute gods, and MJ. Well, you know, in the music side, it was like MJ and stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted to kind of be a comedy actor at first, and I used to go to drama lessons when I was like, I guess from about 10, I think I was like 10 years old. And then I kind of quit when I got to about 13, because like, you know, you get to the teenage years and I'm like, oh, it's not cool. Drama's not cool. You know what I mean? I'm just being a teenage idiot. But at the same time, it was around then I started to get into beatboxing. Around that time I started doing acting because my cousins who also showed me like those Def Comedy Jam stuff like that. On the cousins of the other side, like, all my cousins got me into like, you know, hip hop. But my cousins on my mum's side, Danny and the Craig, shout out. They heavily influenced me into hip hop. My cousin Daniel showed me a beatboxer called Razel, and that's the guy that got me into beatboxing. It was like the beatboxer that beatboxed and sang at the same time.
Yeah.
If your mother really knew anything.
Did he do that? This is Iron Man.
Yeah, he did the
back
Iron
in
one,
the day,
yeah. And I was just like, you know what I mean, gobsmacked hearing that. The kids started to be like practicing every day. So I kind of went off the acting and started doing more. I was getting more into music, but I used to write raps and stuff when I was like 14. And beatbox to myself, but I didn't really show anyone. I was quite shy. I mean, I was always quite the class clown, you know what I mean? And I let the beatboxing kind of slip out a little bit, so people kind of knew I did it, but I didn't really do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Until I was out with my mates, when I was like you know, being teenagers and, you know, doing, you know, going out smoking weed and, you know, that kind of stuff in the parks. My mate said, I'm sure you beatbox, man. And so I started doing it. I did like a grind beat, and my mate like freestyled over, did a rap over it and said, yo, you're sick. And then we were recording it in like a chip shop and like these really like shitty like Sony Ericsson phones.
Yes, man.
You know, back in the day. This is like 2006, 2005, 6, something like that.
Is it a flip?
Huh?
Flip
No,
phone?
the phone.
Yeah.
No. It was like one of the brick one. It was like the Sony Ericsson, the Walkman.
Old school.
The Walkman ones.
Yeah,
you know,
I know it.
Like, you can have like 3 megabytes of songs and like, you know what I mean? Did it on that, and then the next day I come into school and like the videos got out. Like loads of people have got the video on their phone. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll start doing this then. Do you know what I mean?
That's amazing, man. That's a great story into it.
Yeah.
But me knowing you as a performer and an artist as well, you mentioned some other influences at the start, and you're the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, then you're Richard Pryor's, and then you've got this hip hop influence side. I think you've infused all of these onto the stage because there is the comedy there. You are moving about and dancing and giving it some. There is that Fresh Prince side where it's cool and just wearing baggy, exciting, colourful clothes. And then there is the very conscious hip hop lyricism stuff to it. So I really love people. You know, I brought you here today to teach the youths of Ripley and inspire them, but you're inspiring me right now because I love people that have their authentic self, have all these influences, but then turn it into their own on that stage, and that's what you really have done.
Yeah.
And were you always that performer then as a kid? What made you become so excitable, and why did you want to impress people? Maybe.
I guess I don't know. I just loved making people laugh, and I love laughing. You know, I love being like the class clown, and like being like because even as a kid, I always thought like laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
You know, and
was that told to you? Like, was your dad or your mum, or did they?
I don't know. I think I might even like made that up. Well, I don't know if I made it up myself. I might have heard it somewhere. But my dad was very encouraging. Like I wasn't a sporty kid. I'm still not. I am terrible. Like I could kick a football now and it will somehow go behind me. You know, I'm just the least. I'm the last person you want to.
Do you know what that reminded me of on The Simpsons? But it's where Homer tries to cook things and it just keeps going on fire, and then he puts some cereal in the bowl. It just goes.
Yeah. That's me on the pitch, just kicking the ball and setting it on fire. Like it'll be like the last ball in the gym or whatever. You know what I mean?
Always a reference with Simpsons.
Oh yeah. We could do this all day. But yeah, so my dad was massive into football, but never, he never forced me into it, which I'm very grateful for. However, he always influenced me to perform because he loves like cinema, and musicals and things like that. And so whenever in primary school I'd be in plays and stuff like that, and I'll be getting like. If not lead roles, like certain characters, like certain
weren't
characters.
A tree.
Huh?
You weren't going to be a tree.
Nah, I did the Hungry Caterpillar once, and that was hilarious. I made like every motherfucker laugh in that place. Like I was like I feel like there's got to be like a tape of it somewhere. I don't know. But I did it in such a comical way that like even the parents were like pissing themselves. Like you know what I mean. Yeah. But anyway, when I'll be doing like, other roles, like my dad would help me. Like learn the lines, and he'd help me like how to like perform and how to express myself and like project my voice and things like that. You know what I mean? He was very encouraging on that. You know what I mean? And so that has it's always stayed with me. You know, it's always kind of been there. Now I feel like and it wasn't even that long ago when I clicked onto it. It's like, so I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do stand up one day, and I was like, well, I'm already kind of doing it. You know what I mean? Like. It's mad. It's really mad. Like I've been able to, like you say, like kind of just morph all these things into one.
Do you think you could go on to that someday as well? I know you've morphed it all into one, but without say the beat and the musicality, would you write sort of some sketches for?
I'd like to, yeah. Do you mean skits?
Skits. I put it all into one, and I thought I've vibed it. I said skets and sketches, and I was like, "Go on, Mikey, you'll be fine. just hit yourself on the head later when you're not around." Like,
stupid.
Why do I do this to myself?
We know what you meant. Yeah, no, it's something I definitely. Would like to pursue at some point.
I can see it.
Yeah. My roommate actually and slash bandmate Troy. He's the other MC in a band called Rubber Dub that I perform with in Liverpool. Shout out. And and I found out that he's more than just an MC and a singer. He does like quite a lot of like voice acting.
Oh, cool.
And things like that. And so he's incredible. He's incredible at like impersonations and things like that. Like one thing he does is like he so there's like this like virtual audio tour they can do in Liverpool, and you go to certain areas and then you use this app. You go to certain areas, you click like this certain this part of
on the app.
Yeah, you click this button on the app of a certain place that you're at in Liverpool, and he does an impression of John Lennon. Because John Lennon used to live in this particular building. I can't remember what it was called. And they showed me the voice. But I can't do John Lennon voice. But he sounds like just like him. It's ridiculous. I was like, yeah, okay. And then he told me that he's done stand up in the past as well. And like he's just kind of winged it a bit. Like he didn't really write that much material, but like said it written down really well. So that's kind of like living with someone like that has kind of inspired me to like, I think I might give it a go at some point. But I tell you what though, I'll be terrified because I would much rather be on stage, forget all my lyrics, like I'm sure you've seen before. We won't go into that. I'd much rather forget my lyrics in front of people than tell a joke and no one laugh.
Yeah.
That would just, that would just destroy me, man. I
think comedy for me, the way I've seen it, is probably the hardest art form out of all, because even poetry, you're going up on that stage and you're showing your truth and you're quite naked on there. But if you're not doing it as a comedy poet, it's okay because you might get a click, you might get a response, you might get a clap, whatever. But every time you're putting a joke across, you need that response. So you need the laughter's the response. And, when you do music, when you do poetry, when you do any art form, you're not ready for the constant responses. But without you've done 4 jokes in and you've not had any of the responses you're supposed to be getting, it just gets harder and harder and harder and harder. And you think, wow, that is a lot of balls on that stage.
You need the energy from the get-go and need it constant as well. That's the thing that I'm worried about. And like when I used to work at the Maze, peace.
Rest in peace.
Nottingham, you know what I mean?
100%.
I'd work certain nights, and there used to be nights called I think it was like Funhouse Comedy. I think it was called.
Yeah.
I think that's what the name was.
I think I know the guys that run it.
Yeah.
Potentially, Rock Central Comedy is it? They've done a night on here anyway before, but they're Nottingham based, so it might be the same.
Yeah, I can't. One of the hosts, guy called Spiky Mikey.
Yeah.
Great hair, always wears like kind of like flamboyant shirt, like colourful shirts.
I know exactly who you mean, but I wasn't alluding to these two, but I do know that guy as well.
Yeah. Well, anywho, he would host these comedy nights. Spiky Mike was always funny. He was like just such an incredible host, lovely guy, and so it'll be like a competition. So like comedians come on, they have like the wild cards or heats or whatever. And then they go into semi-finals, and they do grand final. And then it's a cash prize, and they get to play at like the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and stuff like that. So I've seen some really good ones. I've seen some really hilarious comedians, but then you see some ones that just don't make the cut. And the thing is, I'm working on the bar, and so I can't really. If someone's making me cringe, I can't exactly like leave the bar. You know what I mean? So, but there've been times where a joke just doesn't land, and I'm like. Just hiding under the bar, like, oh, that was painful. So it's that kind of thing that kind of gets me. But I think if I really like just try it out, you could do open mics and stuff like that. That's how I kind of started anyway.
I think it was you that took me to this place. It was a place we went to in Leeds, Mood Swings.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes.
I think maybe one year you didn't go. I can't remember why, but I was performing because they had a small room where the poets go.
Right.
And the way they conducted
Is it Mood Swings? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
At Beaverworks.
I believe it was. This is where I've got it in my head, or the same venue at least.
Okay.
Because I went to a night there and performed.
Right.
And it was hilarious because, they had poet, comedian, poet, comedian, poet, comedian.
Okay.
And I don't think that was a very good idea. I'm going to be honest because, a lot of poets, want to speak for that very intra perspective, thought out. Some do anyway, or it can be very deep, or it can be very sort of emotional. And then obviously the comedy is another thing. And it was going okay, but the guy between this poet and then my set was. So we're in a very. I'm going to say hippie. I'm going to call it hippie setting. Everyone's in nice baggy trousers. They've got very bright, cool colours. Dreadlocks. You know what we're getting.
I'm playing. I love you, Leeds.
I love you, babies.
Don't sue me.
So we were there, and then this was so funny, man. The guy, I don't know why he thought this would be cool, but he'd got 5 minutes, and he just starts doing like all these really dark animal cruelty jokes and sort of about the meat industry, but why he eats meat and why it's and it was just, it got really dark and weird.
Oh, okay.
Because and these hippies were like,
No, I'm not having it.
what are you on about? And I was sitting there like, what are you on about?
Yeah. I'm not even
'Cause
vegan.
he
I'm like, what
said
the fuck are you talking
one of
about?
the things he was like, do you know the reason I punch dogs in the face? And
What?
I was like, dude, no, your audience.
Yeah, exactly. No,
And straight up, and maybe there was some funny in there, but I remember he got about 3 minutes in, and he just went, as he saw everything, he went, nah, and he walked off because he knew how dark it was getting. Yeah.
Oh,
But then I'm coming on
Alright.
straight after, and yeah, as I was watching him, I had to change my whole set around. Have you ever had to do anything like that before? Where
Yeah,
you've just seen an audience and gone, holy moly.
Like, fuck, I need to switch this up quick time.
Yeah, it was really funny. And I won them round, but I thought I'm going to go for the very political and sort of my echo chamber people where I know I'm going to get them on side and say what they want to hear, but this needed in some places, isn't it? Because it's like that affirmation together, like reaffirming.
You kind of saw that first time with me when when you came with me to the Beatbox Championships 2015.
Yeah, man, that was such a sick event.
Yeah, man, and I was against that Ramsey guy. Can you remember?
Yeah.
And yeah, he brought like a lot of ego into his set. Afterwards, after the battle, he like the next day he messaged me and was like, "Oh, dude," he apologized for for like how he was acting on stage and brought 'cause he thought that was that was kind of a reason to kind of win because it happened to him before in another battle that he did. Someone did a similar thing to him, but that guy made it work in his set. This Ramsey guy kind of was just a bit like, even the people in the crowd were a bit like, eh. But in the second track that I did, I was like, okay, I need to try hitting where it hurts, and I tried to do that drum and bass thing, it just didn't cut. I should have done what you said and done that my flower song. I don't think that would have got me through to the final round, but that still would have. It would have been a safer bet to do that track rather than have a half-baked idea in order to try and
go back at him.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I think I let him get under my skin a little bit. But so I know what you mean when there's certain things that happen that kind of make you change your set list a bit or your ideas. Do you know what I mean? To kind of like follow it or match it. You know.
I'd be interested to know how musically you are changing at the minute because you've changed circumstances at the minute. You're in Liverpool.
Yeah, man.
You found a bit of a new tribe, or you've just broadened your tribe.
Yeah, I got tribes.
And life's really expansive and exciting for you, and you're doing this crazy thing on the weekends, which I'm so proud of, man.
Yeah.
Really, give me some of this, baby.
Pow!
So proud, so
big
proud.
love, man. Big love, man.
Have you changed direction musically in that regard?
Solo wise, I guess so. Yeah. However, like I know it's I probably even said it on the last podcast. People always like, yo, where the fuck's your EP, man? Where's your album? Where's this? What's going on, Alex? What's going on? Been waiting years, man. And I'll admit there have been procrastinations, but there's also been like different. I'm always evolving and changing my mind on what I want to do. And I bought a synthesizer over the first initial lockdown, and I've been making quite a few beats. Not as much recently. I've been quite busy working full time at this Jacaranda bar, with Jacaranda Club, should I say? And but I've got a few beats. I've made like a few loops on there that I'm like, okay, because I think the thing was that originally I was trying to like create a body of work, or at least like get songs ready to make a body of work that's just purely vocals.
Yeah.
But because of that, it puts me in a perspective where like I'm being more of a perfectionist with it. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's gotta be 100% vocals and all that shit. Whereas now it's just like, no, just give me some fat beats, some fat bars, and stop being a fucking idiot. But that aside, I'm working on a lot of other projects as well, like a band called Rubber Dub, which is it's predominantly it's dub reggae music, but it's also got like psychedelic rock, it's got funk, it's got hip hop, it's got live jungle. You know what I mean?
Everything new.
Yeah, so
who are you doing that with?
So it is so my housemate Troy.
Oh, wicked.
Who I told you about. He's one of the MCs. My homie Jack Hendry on drums, who's just an animal, absolute animal. Matt McNamara on guitar and synth at the moment. My homeboy Shay Wilson on vocals and bass and kind of switching between the guitar. We have sometimes we have a girl named Manon play the flute with us as well when she can. Like she's awesome. Kind of in and out at the minute. We've got an EP sorted out at the moment. But it's not quite ready yet. It's not quite ready. Still tweaking some certain bits. But Matt is who's the guitarist, who's like the lead guitarist in it. Has been sweating it, like the mix downs and stuff. And he's got loads of crazy plugins, and he's fine tuned it. You know what I mean? He's worked his ass off on it, bless him. And it's sounding like fat with a PH.
Do you feel PH?
Yeah,
Do you feel working with like a wide range of different musicians helps you to get stuff out then?
Yeah.
Because when you're working on your solo stuff, is it the perfectionist side of you that just doesn't get stuff out because you want to keep refining and building?
Yeah, totally. And working with other people, so every project that I work in, or every artist that I work with, like feature wise or whatever, everything that I work on has its own unique, different sound. You know what I mean? Like, so for example, like with Pablo, it's more of like the jazz, hip hop, bossa nova kind of sound. Rubber Dub, it's like dub reggae, jungle, psych. Like Space Dolphin, it's like the jazz fusion kind of thing. Another project, which I don't want to talk too much about, but that's kind of a bit more. It was a project that I started with a few friends of mine a couple of years ago. We're calling it the Vincent Jeans, and we started work. So a friend of mine, Alex, aka Toucan, me and him met up. We had a drink at the bodega, and when you have a couple of drinks with your friends, you're like, hey, we should start a band, man, and then like nothing happens. Like this was quite consistent. We're like, no, like, so I was saying to her, I really want to start like a psychedelic rock band. I'd love to do something like that's kind of like, the Birds meets King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard meets King Crimson meets fucking Tame Impala or something like that. It's like, yeah, man, I loved it. But we started writing together, and he had like a 12-string guitar. Well, has a 12-string guitar. It's a beautiful sound, absolutely gorgeous. And the first kind of songs we were making kind of had like this like 60s-esque kind of sound. You know what I mean? Like late 60s, like psych rock kind of sound. And then the more we all started to work with each other, the more the sound kind of developed and evolved. And next thing you know, the music that we started to make now, the last stuff we started to make, we started to go to like a bit more like a Gorillaz kind of thing.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like incredibly experimental. But we're all like living all over, like, they're all like Mansfield, Nottingham. I'm in Liverpool now, so pulling all these things together can be quite a challenge. But at the same time, I find it quite inspiring because I'm learning different techniques, different sounds, different textures, different colors.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying? And then being able to bring that into my own work and then express that out as well. And this, I know there's probably people watching this now being all like, yeah, we've heard this before on the last podcast and last interview and all this kind of stuff. But, I would much rather take my time and then get this out rather than rushing it for other people rather than myself. Because if the minute I rush my material at the moment, it loses its feel for me.
What I admire so much about you, though, mate, honestly, you've always done what you felt fitting for you at the time, and you're living on Motormouf time, which is perfect.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to do that about them. They need to find out what works for them, how it works, and be open to listening to others and going, yeah, that could work or this could work, but knowing truthfully, soulfully, what's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And if it's, you know, when everyone's telling you all the time, rush it, come on, get it out, but you're not going to be proud of it in the end, or you're not going to feel it in the end, there's no point doing working to other people's timelines.
No, that's definitely not, man. And you know what you say about I do that on a Motormouf time, I don't do that. Like, I'm still learning that. You know, I'm still learning to get to have my time to myself. You know what I mean? And which is quite and that like over lockdown, I had loads of time, and like it was kind of a blessing in disguise. So I was like, oh, I can just chill now. It's like nothing. And now things are picking up again, and now I'm looking at my schedule like, oh, I'm getting busy again. I'm not really making time for myself and all this kind of stuff. But it's something that I'm kind of, you know, learning bit by bit. You know.
Now, one thing going into all that, the eclectic mixes of friends and the ranges of different musicians and sounds, was that you at school, say? Would you always, with your headphones on, I can picture you, with an iPod, as it just got everything imaginable on there? And were you always into a diverse range of sounds, or were you very hip-hop?
I was very into all sorts, but I mainly listened to hip-hop. Because it was just something that I grew to just fall in love with. But at the same time, I was getting into people like Jimi Hendrix. But when my friends found out I was listening to stuff like that, like, oh, we listen to rock for you fucking grab and all that shit. So they kind of like knocked my confidence a bit on my own accord. You know, really, I should have been like, fuck you, I listen to what the fuck I want.
You're a kid then, so you've not got that attitude.
Hey, if I'm going to put on some Coldplay, I'm putting some Coldplay. Call me a Nazi, I don't give a shit.
Look at the stars. Stop it. You gon' get me.
Don't get me started, man. I admit this. I actually saw Coldplay when I was 17, right? You know who supported him? Jay-Z.
Wow.
Yeah, Jay-Z.
Dude.
Like, I remember I was looking at the newspaper, it was like Coldplay. I was like, oh yeah, Coldplay play. And they're like, supported by Jay-Z. I was like, what? Okay, I'm going to go. Like, because like they've collaborated before, like, you know, on a few songs. Like, this is people are gonna watch this podcast, but I am not supporting Motormouf anymore.
Don't worry.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Coldplay. I'm not into Coldplay like now.
The other day, I mean, I've called off
the Parachutes album. Man. Come on, man. Come on.
What's up with you idiots? I've called everyone idiots now. They're all gone.
Yeah. But nah, we love you, baby.
Even me, the other day, I'd called off Ed Sheeran. I was like, I can't really be doing with it. But I saw a video from 12 years ago, maybe longer, and he's just on the street with all his mates, and he's playing a set, and everyone was vibing. It was just so funny. And he did that, what's that, My Eyes Are Red?
Yeah.
But, mate, it was so energetic and so much fun. There was a guy there with a guitar, stood with his missus, and he was just like, oh, shit. What have I done? I should have let him play. I should have just kept playing Wonderwall.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep going. Exactly. But honestly, watching that, I was thinking, do you know what? I'm not bothered about the path he's been on or the mainstream perspective or any of these ideas. What I just witnessed then was an incredibly talented human doing what he loves and his passion.
And he was killing it back then. He was everywhere, you know. And then the thing I loved about him was before he dropped his album, he released an EP called Collaborations Number 5, and that was like, it was like him doing those kind of songs with grime MCs.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like JME, Wiley, like Devlin, Getz, a few other people in there, and it was just like, and you know, and it's like conscious grime, you know what I mean, as well. And I find it really interesting. Even nowadays, I'll give it a bump here and there, and be like, yeah, man, there was a really.
And he could spit bars. The way he can sing and actually turn that into near rap. It's its own thing. It's very.
It was fresh at the time. You know what I mean? It was definitely something that was. That wasn't really being done in that kind of way at that time.
It's like sort of scatting nearly, like fresh down.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. To a certain degree, but yeah. I mean, and nowadays it's like okay.
Yeah.
I kind of get it, and that's no disrespect to Ed Sheeran, you know what I mean, and all his fans. Do what you're doing, but we'll get your paper.
Yeah.
But now for me, it's kind of like okay, I get that a lot. You know, I get that a lot. Like if I'll listen to an artist that comes out with something that's quite unique, and I'll be like, wow, what exciting. And then if they keep doing it, it then becomes a bit of a gimmick.
Yes.
You know, so I get like, okay. and I'll go off.
I suppose all of us are artists at some stage have done that as well. Do you know what I mean? When you've found something that worked. For me, my story is when I found poetry because of such a place of pain and hurt. I discovered it then, but I'd not been shown how to do it before. So then I'd just found rhyming couplets, and I really liked rhyme. It was just something... It helped me get my expression out, and I found it very easy to do it through rhyme.
Yeah.
But then I could only stick to that format, and all the poems was da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then it took a long time for me to look back and go, oh, these all sound very similar though. You've got to really perform it in a certain way to stop it sounding like that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, when you get into something, you find what works and you get all the adulation, people clapping you and excited about it, then you can get a bit trapped into that then, because you're like, oh, I know what the recipe is, so I'll just keep going. And you can end up... It is really good to go to workshops or work with other artists, and you keep finding influences and ideas there. And that is, it's being with you, Dathan, obviously, Shruzik, local healers, where I've got to actually read your words or listen. What's he actually saying? I've had to listen to it so many times. Sat there, bloody hell. But listen to all my mates so many times where I'm like, he actually rhymed about 15 things in the same sentence then or so on. And I thought, oh, that's a possibility then. So it's being a listener then as well, isn't it? And that helps you adapt and grow.
Yeah, definitely. And just listen to different kind of styles and ways that people can put in metaphors. Like, so certain lyrics where it's like, oh, does he have like 2 metaphors in there, 3, 4, 5, or any at all? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. That's why I love like people like MF Doom. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. again.
Yeah, man. Again, like Doom. Just it's like the first project I heard of him was like this album he did with Danger Mouse, who's the producer from Gnarls Barkley, and or loads of other projects as well. He's done stuff with like Damon Albarn and Black Keys and other rappers as well. But that was the first time I got into MF Doom, was like the Danger Doom album, and I think that was a very accessible way for me to get into MF Doom because it was very digestible, because it was a very animated and fun like project, so it's a bit easier on the ears. And then the album I listened to straight after that was an album called, because he went by another name called Victor Vaughn, and it was an album called Vaudeville Villain, and it was like the polar opposite. Like it was just gritty. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like the production was just insanely like quite dark in places. His lyrics were very mischievous. You know what I mean? Like almost quite like violent as well. You know. But so I kind of had like little like fun, playful MF Doom, and then went into like the depths. Was like, holy shit!
So it's like going from Slim Shady to, is it Kim, the one where it's like, shut up, man.
Yeah.
Are you gonna minute?
Yeah. It's being like, you know, doing like Mockingbird to Kim. Yeah. God damn.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. But yeah, like, you know, the rappers like that really influenced me and made me think about getting into metaphor. Like Lupe Fiasco was one of them as well, like on his Food and Liquor album. A Big Pun got me into like syncopation with like lyrics I did in the middle, a little, you know what I mean? Just like like, you know, how he just chopped his flows and just didn't run out of breath. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
We had Ty do one of the workshops the other day, Ty Healy, and he did that to the kids. Did in the middle and the little, and the kids just love tongue twisters and teasers, don't they? They're like, oh, what's happening now? Something new. So exciting.
I love doing that and playing with words. That's why it's called wordplay. You play with your words, man.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, amen.
I mean, yeah, I think unknowingly, mine was obviously the streets, but I just really loved, because I'd never heard of a concept album before, and original Pirate Material. No, it was a Grand Don't Come For Free concept album. As a kid, I'd heard that. That was my song to go up and down the country and with my dad when we were driving places. And I was like, Dad, it's telling a story. And it was the first time in lyrics I actually understood you could tell your truth or relay a story out there. I didn't take any notice into lyrics before, and that was ingrained into me. But I like the the base level of it as well. It was very, I know where I stand here. Do you know what I mean? It takes me on that journey, but it's very imagery based.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just say like, I was stood here. He can really describe the imagery of the place and the smell of it and the taste of it and that as well.
Yeah, like the speed he's walking, the shoes he's wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I love that element of it, but when you were getting introduced into lyricism and rap and hip hop, and your cousins, would they showing you more of these metaphorical artists then, with a bit more?
They'll just show it me. There'll be certain artists be like, "Yo, listen to this bar here. Like this lyric is sick," or whatever. But then mainly they were just playing it and just showing me, and I'll just like kind of take influence. And then one day when I was like 13, 14, I found out the power of Wikipedia. And what I'd do is I'd go on Wikipedia and I'd find out, like, I used to research like these hip hop albums. And then I'll spend my pocket money on the weekend going to HMV or wherever and buy these CDs. So I'm like, why is this album like 5 stars out of 5? You know what I mean? And I'll go to the shop and like the album will only be like £3, £4 or something like that, like piss cheap. And speaking of storytelling, right? I guess one rap I always seem to, when people ask me like oh who's your influences, I always kind of go for this generic, Eminem, Nas, Jay-Z, like, which is true. Like, you know, these Eminem, like these people do have influenced me and still do. But one guy I always missed out was Slick Rick. Slick Rick was kind of like I guess known as one of the pioneers of storytelling rap. But he was very funny with it as well. He was very comical, and I went out and bought this first album called The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. And like each like it's not like a concept album through and through, but each song has like a story. Yeah. And a lot of it's quite comical. A lot of it could be quite deep, you know what I mean, or quite poetic.
I had one of his songs on. Is he very on beat, Slick Rick?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
like, one I was thinking of, and it's like. Then I went and saw my brother.
Oh no! That was
like
he was a bit more bouncy with it. Do you know what I mean? Like cool. he kind of went in and out. Right. But I'll never forget when I listened to this album, and I just fell in love with it. I absolutely adore. The album finishes. I run downstairs. I go to mum. So I was like about 13, maybe 14 at the time. Bear in mind, this album came out in like 1988. 89, right. Like 87, 88, something like that. It was like late 80s. So this must have been like 2005, something like that, 2005, 2006. And I run downstairs. I'm like, Mom, I've this guy named Slick Rick. Like, it's a real influence on me. I passed to the CD. Like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's a real influence on me. He's a great storyteller. Like, I want to write like him someday. Like, And Mom looks at the CD and goes, oh, okay, so this guy's like influencing you. I was like, yeah, he's great. I was like, oh, great. Tell me, Alex, why is the first song Treat Her Like a Prostitute?
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, well, you know, when you listen to the song, like, you'll get what it means. She just looked at me like, I was like,
not having it.
Okay, I'm gonna go. But you know, like,
yeah, cool.
If you listen to this, like, I don't know. I don't think you'd be able to get away with making songs like that anymore these days.
Yeah.
But you know, you listen to it now, listen to the concept, and you get what he's saying. Then
of a time.
It was of its time. You know,
one of them times.
Yeah, one of them. But no, check it out. You know, and you know, like a lot of like hip hop is for everybody. A lot of people like the gangster shit. A lot of people like the funny stuff. A lot of people like the conscious stuff. Some people like a bit of all together. Do you know what I mean? Whereas that was me. Like, I wasn't really into the gangster scene for like at first. When I was like 13, about 12. Like when 50 Cent was just everywhere. Everywhere. I wasn't really too much into him. But then I got, he was playing in Nottingham, and I got a ticket to see him live with my mate. It was like for his 13th birthday actually, and was it 14th? I mean 14th actually. I think it was 14th. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, like we go see 50 Cent. I kind of got more into him, and I saw him live, and it was my first ever hip hop concert as well, and he absolutely destroyed it, man. It was amazing. It was like, remember Roll Deep?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
grime group, that they just came out at that point, and they were the support act. So me and my mate were big fans at the time. We didn't even know they were going to be there. So we were like, "Oh shit, roll it right!" And we were going absolutely mental. And then 50 Cent came on with like all of G Unit apart from the game and Tony Yayo, because Tony Yayo was in jail. And he had like MOP, Annie up, all those guys were there. Mobb Deep were there because they just got signed to them as well. So it was just like, you know what I mean? My head just exploded, and then I had a bit more of an understanding of that kind of realm of rap. And then soon after, I mean, around that time, I was into NWA. And like old school Eminem anyway, but there was something about 50 I couldn't quite click onto. But then when that happened, when I watched that concert, I was like, right, okay, now I can get this now. And then soon after that, that's when I got into like the Wu-Tang Clan. My cousin got me to like the first album, and then that was it. That was just
I'm sold.
Yeah, game changer for me, man. Absolute game changer.
I mean, when you're performing as well, you're so energetic and absolutely all over it's an experience. It's more than a show for me. It's a full experience, and I love it. You go to festivals and you see this one guy at the front, and then there's about 15 people around, and then suddenly the whole room are up and going and moving. It's incredible what you can create.
Definitely.
What about the performance side of things then? Where did you see somebody, because you've said the album moment where you thought, oh, this is cool, this is an influence. What about somebody being on a stage and just owning it and making it into such an incredible space?
I guess that was from comedians.
Oh, wow.
Like, I think just seeing how they can have, that can control the crowd like that, like, was a massive influence. I mean, like, I used to love Lee Evans. When I was younger,
Oh, yes.
I used to absolutely adore
Sweaty
him. Like,
mofo.
yeah, he was just full of just energy and just running around, and like he was great at like impersonations and facial expressions and things like that. And then things like Eddie Murphy, Delirious. Like I don't know if you've seen it, but like he's 22 years old in that, right? And he's just got this sold out arena. This one young lad, 22 years old, just absolutely killing it, and with Richard Pryor, who is just, in my eyes, he is the GOAT of all comedians.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion,
I think there's a big argument to be made there.
Yeah, well, yeah, all they have their own opinions, but like, it's just, for me, Richard Pryor is the best, because his main target is himself. You know what I mean? He doesn't take himself seriously. He takes the piss out of himself. Like and that's the thing that I really love. You know what I mean? Of like someone just and the thing is as well, when you watch Richard Pryor, the things that he talks about, he jokes about, but they're not jokes. They're actual things that happened in his life.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, it was not like some things like when he's like talking about shooting his car so his wife wouldn't leave him and shit like that, and like sticking up a mafia nightclub with a cap gun to get his money, like, because he was like the host and they weren't paying him, and then they kind of like took the piss out of him, and it was like they kind of kept him as a pet kind of thing, just all these mad things. And then like, so I was hearing all these jokes, and I read his autobiography, and I was like, all these things actually oh my god, like,
Wow.
But anyway, sorry, I digress. In terms of like, the performance stuff, I guess it was like from comedians and like comedy actors, and like I say, like my dad was a big influence on that for helping me, just to express, you know what I mean, as a performer. And that's the thing, when you go to a show, you want to see a show, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I try to do it. So that sometimes I might have my off days, or I might be a bit more reserved. And the thing that the main inspiration is the energy from the crowd, and so I'll give my energy out. If they give it me back, then I throw it back. So it's kind of like it's my mate Troy. Again, he was saying that it's kind of like a three-way thing. I give the energy, they give it back, and then I give it back even more. Do you know what I mean? So
that's nice. Yeah.
So
that's
I was like, that's a good point. And I think that's the thing. There'd be some times where I might be at a gig, and I'm like, oh man, I really don't have the energy today. Oh, I just want to get this over with or whatever, and then I'll play, and then I'll get the energy, And then I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, what was I worrying about? Why was I such a grumpy bastard earlier? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess yeah.
I love hearing that part of you, mate, and I can see it now because I've been during the lockdown watching a lot more comedy. You need a little bit of a laugh now and then, don't you?
Yeah. Like, keep me sane somewhat.
And I suppose most of my favourites are the very energetic movement ones. I like me Rogan at the minute, and then I've been down his path. Bert Kreischer, he gets his top off all the time. Big belly fella.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, I've not really looked much into him. But,
the film Van Wilder was made from him. It's his story. He was going into colleges, never wanted to leave, and just was this crazy party goer. But then, yeah, I've really gone down that path. I suppose the more calculated ones would be, who did Life's a Ride? I can't remember his name. Oh, there's George Carlin, old schooly, more political one, and then Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks,
I've been looking at a lot of their old stuff,
kind
and they're a bit more
comedians,
calm,
right?
philosophical, deep, thinky ones. But then the others where I'm like, I just want to get lost. I love it when they're moving and giving it some.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what resonates with me in watching you perform as well. But just going back to the lyricism a little bit then, I'd say your songs for me are very conscious. I think you've got a heart, you've got a soulful way of being, and you want to make people think, use that metaphor and so on. Why do you think it was, instead of the gangster stuff and writing them sort of bars, do you know why you went down the more conscious route?
Because I definitely ain't no gangster. You know what I mean? I've never really been in a fight and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
I've always been terrified of you.
No, I'm kidding. Even people look at me like, fuck is
that?
Yeah. No, you know, so I guess, you know, I never wanted to fake the funk. You know what I mean? Always wanted to kind of keep it real to myself. Don't get me wrong, I think that there's quite a few raps that I've got where I rap like violently, but that's more of just like the MC pose, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like me talking about selling drugs and shooting people and stuff like that. If I do put that in raps, I make sure I make it very metaphorical. And, you know...
Or satire as well.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I've got a few verses that are quite tongue-in-cheek, you know what I mean? And I think it's quite healthy to have those kind of... For me, anyway, I think it's quite healthy to have that kind of rage, almost, you know what I mean? Like, because I like working with trip-hop artists. And with that, I can be very poetic and very, like, dark as well, you know what I mean? And almost quite a bit post-apocalyptic, if you know what I mean? But majority of the time, I like to rap quite consciously, even when I'm doing like quite funky flows and stuff like that, or if I'm rapping on drum and bass or jungle, I still want to have that kind of spiritual side to me, like
poetic,
sometimes, yeah, do you know what I mean? But have a good mix of everything, you know. Because I don't just want to do the hardcore rap. I don't just want to do the comedy. I would just do this, just do that, just do that. Because I get bored. If I keep doing the same thing, I get bored, and I want to move to the next thing. You know what I mean? So
do you know Frisco Boogie?
Frisco Boogie?
His name's Frisco Boogie. You'd love him, man. He's like 57 now, 58.
Okay.
But he's hip-hop through and through from the Nottingham scene. It might get confused because it's spelt boogie, so sometimes Frisco Boogie, but it's boogie. And he named it from, I can't remember which artist he went to see performing, but he was pronouncing it San Francisco, but he was announcing it Frisco. So he was going to call it Frisco, and he was very much in the popping scene when hip-hop was just coming into the UK.
Oh, okay.
And boogieing was a dance, so that's how he named himself. But he... you two would just be the best of mates because, like, in terms of hip hop, he knew everything.
He's from Nuts, yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
But like born and bred.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this guy.
I'll send you some of his stuff over as well.
I don't think I've heard of this guy. No, maybe I've met him. I don't know.
Yeah, you might have. I really rate his stuff as well. But we were talking about that a little bit, and he used to just write for writing's sake, and he liked the puns and just putting across like wordplay all the time, but never having meaning. And then as his life's developed and he's, you know, had hardships, breakups, losing people, all he wants to write now is that more meaningful, conscious elements of his nature.
Yeah.
And he's just saying how healing it's been as a process and this most cathartic tool by using. And he didn't necessarily realize the power that it had before, because he was always just writing for bar's sake, and now he wants to just leave an imprint of something behind, and something that down the line he's wrote for today, but you know, a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old might relate to it later down the line when they're in struggle. And I just thought that's really beautiful, you know, writing for today but leaving it behind for tomorrow.
Yeah,
So it's a really beautiful way of accessing it.
I can dig that, man. Like, that's a really cool way of looking at it.
That is how I see the more true parts of your nature, the more philosophical, deep ones seem to stay for the test of time a little longer than just when you've wrote something hardcore, punning for punning's sake. That truth over there is always going to be constant. And it's always going to be sought out. Do you know what I mean?
And again, like we're saying with gimmicks, because like, you know, you'll be known as just like, well, I don't know. This is the thing. Like I'm not saying every single MC needs to be diverse or everyone needs to be diverse. People have their style, their niche, whatever, and they stick to it, and that's them. That's fine. That's not a bad thing. It's just for me, I can see it as being quite gimmicky if you're just a punchline MC, or if, like, you know, if you're just a battle rapper, like, or like, you know, because I've seen certain battle rappers like who are incredible at their craft, at, you know, at battle raps. But when it comes to them, a lot of the time when it comes to them making music, they're not so good. Or vice versa. You can have some artists that are incredible musicians, or incredible lyricists, but they're not really built for battle rap. Do you know what I mean? And I think I kind of fall in that category. Do you know what I mean? I've done a few battles here, a couple battles here and there, but it's not really my forte. You know what I mean? So.
But I love what you just said then in your advice, because being diverse, like Frisco there, he only found out till later on in his life the power of what he fell upon, and that more conscious element. And if you'd have tried it early on, the conscious side, the just punning side, having fun with your music, being really deep with your music, then, you know, you can start to learn a little bit more about what you might be about as well. And it does open up that range for you as an artist. And I think that's really, really good for your artistry as well. But with all this and where you're at, do you ever feel when you're in, say, writer's block or something, are you trying to force it? Is it because you're not living life so much anymore and there's not so much to document? Do you have them struggles?
Well, writer's block.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the conscious element, it's so healing and so cathartic, but then it is very hard to keep plunging into that pool and trying to write from that either pain or empathy to others or whatever it is. It's quite a dark place to go a lot of the time, isn't it? So
yeah, it can be.
Do you get stagnant there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally, man. Yeah, I get it quite often. But you know, it can happen. Like, there's no real specific reason. It can happen for all kinds of reasons. You know, like breakups fuck me up. I'll be so. But I don't know actually, now I think about it, because I could be in a writer's block and I'll be like, I need to write this verse for this track, or I need to get this done, I want to talk about this, need to write about this, and then it doesn't come, and then you're forcing it and it just comes out worse. But at the same time, you're still sharpening your tool. You're still like thinking, okay, like I'm still trying, and then something will happen, or an idea will go in your head randomly, and then you go from there. You know, inspiration can come to you at the craziest of situations and craziest of times. But I don't know. I don't really have any tools to get out of writer's block, I guess. Maybe just like read more, walk. You know what I mean? Like just try breathe. You know?
Quite like the idea of just doing it as well, even when it's shit.
Yeah.
Something might come.
Because that's it. It's still, like I say, it's still sharpening your tool, and it's still getting it out. You know what I mean? And just putting something on paper. Especially like writing as well. Because a lot of the time I'll be writing on my phone and save it to like a cloud. Like I use an app called Evernote, which saves on the cloud. So like just in case I write something and I'm on paper and I lose or whatever. But the feeling of the pen and pad is, I feel like I can memorize it a lot.
I was just going to say, it sinks in a little more, doesn't
it? Totally. So I think like having that physical feel of the pen and paper really does help.
Do you ever feel musiced out as well? Because you're very much somebody I look at and I'm like, you could be on it all the time, every day of the week, performing. You're always listening to music. It's music. Have you had a part of your journey where you thought, I'm not sure about this music thing, or I'm not vibing music the same way I was before?
Totally. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said no. And it's never been a thing of like, I'm gonna quit. It was just kind of like, just my own misguidance, I guess. You know, of being like, I don't know where I'm going with this, what I'm doing with this, but I'm just gonna keep on doing it. And from that, it's always influenced because you know, just by doing it, it puts you in some crazy perspective, like crazy situations. I'm sure you find out. And so, okay, well, this is the best recent example I can give you. So Saturday just gone, and the weekend before, I was performing with that an orchestra called Symphonica, and
hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah, man. Wow. And it was like, so it's an orchestra. I think it's like 20, maybe 30 pieces. I don't know. They kind of like changed their roster a lot. But it's like Symphonica Orchestra featuring Mr. Switch, who's a DJ from Nottingham, 4 times world champion, like DMC, like consecutively, like just a lovely, humble dude. They're all lovely as well. They're all lovely performers, all incredibly tight. And so Miles Hancock, he is the conductor of the orchestra. And he got in touch with me just before lockdown, seeing if I was up for doing it. And I was like, yeah. And I was a bit like I've never really done this. So they asked me to do. So they're on a tour at the moment as we speak, and they're doing like Ibiza club anthems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, there's a few dates where they're doing drum and bass anthems, and Miles messaged me before lockdown if I wanted to be the MC to do these drum and bass tracks. So things like Tarantula by Pendulum, a few like Brown Paper Bag by Ronnie Size, and a few other ones that haven't been put into the set just yet. But I was like, yeah, sound, man. And I was really nervous about it because, like, you know, I'm playing with an orchestra, and if I mess up, you know, it's noticeable. If a violin player like plays a bum note, they keep carrying on.
Yeah.
I have to carry on myself as well, but then it's a bit more like a bit more pressure. You know, I feel anyway. But no, it went sound. It went as soon as as soon as I kind of got on stage and get the energy, I was like, yeah, I know I'm doing it. I'm good. But anyway, basically about like just doing stuff. I was scratching my head after the first show in Manchester, because I was like, how did Miles know about me in order for him to get in touch with me in the first place about being the MC for this orchestra? I assumed it was Mr. Switch, because I've jammed with him quite a few times. He was in a project called Jesus in Nottingham, and it was like a jam. Like a jam project. Louis Cypher used to be in it as well.
Sick.
And a guy called James Waring used to play the drums, and a few other people. It was like a little jam project, and like Mr. Switch was just incredible on the decks, man. Like his scratching is just next to none. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing. So yeah, I thought it was him that got in touch with Miles, and he was like, no, I think it was Miles's idea. So I was like, okay, but how? So when he messaged me, I was like, wait, we're friends on Facebook, but how? You know, I was scratching my head for ages. Like, how do we know each other? So I asked him after the first gig we did in Manchester a week ago. I was like, so Matt, how did you find out about me? And he was like, oh, we've performed together with each other. I was in a band called Fat Digester. And Fat Digester is like a funk band from Nottingham. And every time, like the first time I saw them, was at a festival called Snetton Festival. I used to host it, so I hosted it a couple of times, and these guys headlined, and I had a jam with them. This gig was in 2011.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And Miles played with Fat Jester on that gig. He was also in the Invisible Orchestra, and I hosted for them once, but Miles wasn't. He wasn't playing with them at that point. So the only time I jammed with Miles was in 2011.
Wow. Yeah.
And then 9 years. I don't think I've seen him since. Right. I don't think I have.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, like 9 years later, he's asked me to be an MC for an orchestra, like doing drum and bass anthems, and it's like, huh?
You leave imprints, brother.
That's it.
You
And like,
imprints.
this is something I've been thinking about recently, man. It's like, and I say this to anyone that wants to get into, well, not even just music, just like all kinds of different,
pursuits.
Yeah, exactly. Always just plant seeds, man. You never know where it's gonna get you, man. Where it's gonna land you, man. That's because people like, yo, Motormouf, how did you get all these festivals and how are you getting all these gigs and and it's like, I'm just doing it, bruv.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it. Go when I started, I was going to like every single open mic you could imagine, bro, around the city centre, like, and meeting different like MCs and people that know people and this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? And like, and don't get me wrong, it's been a long ass craft. It's been a long, like, it took me a while to get to where I am now. And I'm not trying to say like I've made it or nothing like that, But like I say, it's just keep
beating on your craft.
Keep beating on your craft. Sometimes it's gonna get rough. Sometimes you might get a bit doubtful about yourself. You might, there might be certain gigs you might not be able to get onto, but just keep doing it, man. Just keep doing it. Like I'm seeing you've been doing that as well. You know what I mean?
Trying, man. Yeah, trying.
You've been no. You're not trying, bro. You're doing, man. Like you've managed to build. I mean, look around. You've built so much. You know what I mean? In quite a short space of time as well. And that's just from doing it and getting connections. And I'm sure it's been a bit stressful. There might have been some miscommunications here and there, maybe. Like I don't know. I mean, I can only imagine like what it's been like.
Always, mate. I think that's the package and parcel of business, isn't it? And if you want something successful in life, the key is consistency. And the problem is, a lot of people feel they need these peaks all the time where they're progressing to this level and then this level and they're going here and here. But it's very short-lived.
Yeah, because it's like, then what?
Yeah, what you really need to get by is to understand the importance of plateau. And respect plateau, and then when it starts going and going and going, then it starts growing and growing and growing, and then suddenly you're at the next level and the next level. But you've got to keep reaching plateau at times and building on what you're doing now as good as it can possibly be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, without a doubt,
it's
man.
very much for us. We got these buses to a level, and you always let your mind go. You think, we need to gig this week and that week, and then gig again here and put this on here, and you just spread yourself really thin then. You're all over the place.
Yeah.
But if you go, no, I built it, now we're going to organically keep growing, I'm going to put, okay, podcast next. Let's make that really do its thing as successfully as a podcast can do its thing. And then we add in another element next, and we add in the next then. And I think that's where, same with music, I've always admired all my friends that have that incredible ability, and I've never been and learned how to play an instrument or how to hold a beat or been anywhere like that. So I just wanted to go and say my piece and message. But then as soon as an instrument turned on or anything where I had to start being a musician a bit more, oh man, my nerves kicked in so much. But it was good because now I've gone back a little bit. I've just listened, I've taken on board how my friends do it and grown from them, and just allowed it to grow a little bit more organically then. I let my spoken word plateau out and do what it needed to do. I don't feel the need to perform so much anymore. I was always like, there. And then I've come back a little bit. I've ended up getting all the Logic, not in here, but on my laptop, and then I've ended up getting beats sent over and the microphone, And I really love just being at home and still writing, still got the poetry spoken word element in my life, but now I'm infusing it into sort of the lo-fi sounds and all that. And I just love it, man. But it's from that advice you say there, you don't have to just always be killing it every day, reaching for the next, because it's exhausting if you do.
Yeah, and like,
So just do it.
Yeah, and you've seen it firsthand. A lot of people that know me, that are probably watching this and hearing this, know firsthand that I used to do it all the time. When I was young, guys were like, nah, I'm fine. I'm like, you know what I mean? I like being busy. And people are like, no, you're going to burn yourself out, bro. My mate, Xander James, he told me that we were making music together at one point, and like he was saying like, oh man, you really need to like calm down with the gigs, and you know what I mean, like you're not even gonna get that much money out of it, and I'm like, nah man, I'll do it, I'll be fine. And then the older you get, you're like, oh okay, this ain't a joke. And then next thing you know, you're in this whirlwind of being too busy and always saying, and I'd plan like way in advance. Like I'd say yes to a gig that'll happen in like 2-3 months time. Whilst I've got other things I need to do as well, and then it's just this constant, you know, like avalanche, I guess. And then I might get paid from work or like these gigs, and then I realize I have to use that money to get to this place and use that for over there. And like, oh shit, I owe that other guy some money. You know what I mean? Like it's and that's kind of thing that's kind of got me where I am now.
Yeah.
However, like, and now the gigs are starting to happen again. I can feel it happening again, where like that kind of burnout thing is happening now, and not really making time for myself. But the fact that I'm a bit more aware of it now.
That's the word.
Yeah, I'm a bit more aware of it now, and it's like, okay, now I need to try to bite size my thing. I'm like, I turned 30 in a couple months time, and just the other week. I was at work, so like I said, I work at the Jacaranda Club in Liverpool, sorry, and I was moving some beer barrels, only a couple. I was moving some of those, and then I did the open mic after my shift, and at the end I was like head banging, I was going a bit mental, you know me, I'll go a bit blah,
I know
mad.
you.
And anyway, and then afterwards, after that, I had a couple of drinks, and I was having a bit of a boogie with some friends, and I woke up the next day, and my neck and my shoulders were like, nope. I was like, no, you ain't doing nothing today. And I was supposed to have a practice with Pablo.
Yeah.
Because we've got a gig on the 16th of October at the Old Cold Store. Being supported by Chloe Rogers.
When's that?
Oh wait, is it Old Cold Store?
It's here.
Oh, it's here.
Yeah. I was like, hang on a minute. Where's everyone
sorry.
going?
sorry. You can edit that. You can edit that, right?
That's staying in, man. That's definitely staying in.
Oh man, I am the world's worst promoter. World's worst.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for it, man. You're coming
sorry.
in.
I'm getting confused. So I was like, as I said that, I was like, wait, we've already played the Cold Store. I'm
Yeah,
like,
why are we going back?
Yeah. I'm like, why have we done that? Yeah. So it'll be here.
But you missed your training for it. The training.
My rehearsal, yeah. So, because I literally, dude, I had to roll out of my bed like a turtle on its fucking back, like I was like that the whole day.
I've seen you in this state too many times to mention.
Oh yeah.
Just looking over at you like, ow.
But that's festival motor. This was just me having just overlooking myself. But you know, now it's kind of like. You know, realize that, oh, I'm nearly 30. Need to watch out. Like it's a thing, you know what I mean? Just like, and a lot of like older people are like, fuck's sake, 30. but I'm starting to see it now, and like I'm starting to really become aware of like what I need to do with my time, and you know, like I said, I like being busy. I'm planting a lot of good seeds, but I need to make time up. Like I not Saturday just gone, the Saturday before. I had a whole day of doing nothing booked, absolutely fuck all. I was like, right, I ain't doing shit today. I'm gonna stay on the sofa. I'm gonna do some reading. I'll tidy up a little bit. Like I'm gonna put on some I'll eat some junk food. I'm gonna watch TV. I'm gonna just chill. And however, 2 of my workmates couldn't make it into work because they were ill. Now, you know, with my own right, I could have been like, nope, I'm not coming into work today. But at the same time, the Jacaranda, those guys, they're like a family, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of like the Bodega and the Maze.
Yeah.
And, you know, those kind of places. Like, on a different level, but like, you know.
You want to help them.
Yeah,
you
you know. So I was like, yeah, I'll come in. And like, you know, I needed the hours anyway, so it was one of those. But then afterwards, it was like, shit, when we got the next day off? You know what I mean? But then, you know, when that time does come, you know, it will come. And then sometimes, you know, because sometimes when you are someone like me that moves around quite a lot, you don't really have time to write stuff or create stuff or anything like that. So yeah, it's one of those. So then those days will come off. I love those days. I'll be like, right, I'm gonna have this day off. I'm gonna do some writing, and then that day will come, and my body's like, nope. You know, just catch up on sleep or whatever that needs to be done. But then sometimes, you know, I'll have that day off where I'm like, I will think of not doing anything, and I'm like, and then an idea will come in my head. I'm like, oh, and then and then you know, the inspiration comes back, and you're writing, you're creating again. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Come on, what are your escapisms then? Because if you do get musiced out, a lot of people, like myself, I've done boxing in the past, and I've got football, I've got other things that give life back to music, because when I go and do them again, I think, oh, I've had my break, I'm back.
Yeah.
So where do you get your breaks then? What is it that's other than music? And
but that's the thing. Majority of the time, it is music. But I guess if like one thing I've been doing a lot of recently is just I was trying to like get into reading again. I reading like I like to read like autobiographies or like biographies of like artists.
I was gonna say, I bet it's a musician.
Yeah, exactly. It's still to do with music, you know. I'm currently reading one about Prince.
Wow.
Because he's an artist that I never really delved into. I mean, like, you know, I love Prince. I love like some of his like his singles, stuff like that. But I guess, you know, it's kind of like the whole like Biggie Tupac. I was more MJ than Prince, you know what I mean? But as of recently, I wanted to delve more into his world and his creativity, you know what I mean? Because he was just
Fascinating.
Yeah, a multi-instrumentalist. Like, he was a genius, absolutely. So I've only just started reading it. But I'm reading one about the Last Poets as well. Who have I shown you anything about the Last Poets?
No.
They're they're such an important figure in not in just poetry but hip hop especially. You know, they were very to the bone like poets. Like, we'll talk about like, you know, black prejudice and, you know, what was actually going on in the world, in the hood, drugs, alcohol, racism, sexism, you know what I mean, all this stuff. Same with like Gil Scott-Heron as well. I've just got an autobiography of his.
Oh, you're reading on Gil Scott-Heron?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Only just again, I'm only just started to get into these books. And Miles Davis as well. He's another artist I want to delve into a lot more.
Well, you make me think of somebody that's very excitable, wants to move around a lot, mind very busy. Can you read all right then? Can you read? I mean, can you sit there and actually give it the time that it warrants to read a book and so on?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's giving myself time, but I'm making sure I'm reading something that I'm interested in.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not right now. I'm not really the one for fiction, like reading fiction, like. At this moment in time, I guess, like, you know, I like to learn about people that are inspiring, maybe not necessarily just to me, but to other people, and get into that kind of mindset as to why do people like this artist so much, and what is it something I'm missing here, you know? But it's really interesting because, like, so for example, a couple of years ago, like well, when I first met you, like I was heavily into Sly and the Family Stone, and I was just getting into like Funkadelic and Parliament like properly. But there was something about them Parliament and Funkadelic and George Clinton I couldn't quite. I don't know. There was something about them I couldn't quite delve into. So I bought his autobiography last year, and wow, it's just insane, man. Like and the thing was as well is like, because they have such a massive discography of music between Funkadelic and Parliament. Yeah, I didn't quite know like how to start, so I'd like read the book. He'd talk about the album. I'll put the book down. I'll listen to the album, get an idea, you know what I mean, get the feel of it, get what the influences of that and stuff like that, and then go back and forth like that. So yeah, so I guess at the moment it's reading or just going for walks. I live next to a park called Sefton Park. it's a massive park in Liverpool. That's sometimes I'll go for walks around there, just kind of clear my head a bit with some music on. Or just watch some good cinema, you know what I mean? Like watch some good films or.
Oh mate, you do like your films, don't you?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched anything, man. But it's getting back into that routine again. You know what I mean?
But then, does that fuel your work? Because do you use a lot of message, metaphor in film, and idea there to infuse into?
Yeah, or things like even like with songs, like so. There's this. So at the Jacaranda we have like this playlist that plays when we're working, and one of the songs that comes we used to come quite a lot as I think it's called Rock the Casbah by The Clash.
Yeah.
Rock the Casbah, rock the Casbah. Yeah, you know the tune,
I know
right?
it, yeah.
And it's something that they used to always play in my place of work, and it kind of got into my head. It was such an earwig that I had this song in my head for days. I just wouldn't get it out, and then I'd kind of like put this bit into a lyric where it's like my life is moving fast. It's a work in progress, but it's like my life is moving fast, something that of a NASCAR. Yeah, if you want the clash, you'll get rocked like the Casbah. You know what I mean? So like, if you want the clash, you see what, hey.
I'm gonna break that down.
I'm a genius.
Yeah.
Genius. No. But things like that, I like to make into metaphors and like really crazy ones. One I was pretty proud of was like a Guns N' Roses one I did for John Joe, that Cherry Tree song that I did with him.
Great track.
Yeah, man, that song was mad, man, and like I never wrote like that before ever as well. Like, it was just so, cause I was like, well, people gonna get this shit, like, and then when it was released, it took everyone in Nottingham like lost their fucking minds. Like, yo, this is some mad shit, and like, what was the lyric? It was like, hungry for the hunters in the jungle. Like, so it's like so doing a Guns N' Roses song. They did like Welcome to the Jungle, that song Welcome to the Jungle, and it has Axl Rose in the band, Slash in the band, and they did an album called Appetite for Destruction. So it's like hunger for the hunters in the jungle, welcome you are not. Axe your rose and slash your gun in half and smash those who test until the appetite is calm. You know what I mean? So it's like just those little like weird metaphors, and then like, you know, and I'm not sitting there like, did you get it?
Yeah.
Did you get it? No, you need to listen to it again, man. It's like if you get it, you get it. You don't. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like fucking hell. You know what? I haven't admitted this to them yet. I need to wait till I see him. I've only just clicked on today about the name Local Healers. Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was like local dealers, right?
Okay.
And then it's like Nay Loco and Ty Healy.
Healy, yeah.
Local Healers. I only clicked that on like a week or two ago.
And there's again so much behind it, you know.
Yeah.
Healing the community.
Yeah. There is that as well. But I put and I was like, oh, for
yeah.
what? You know what I mean? It blew my head even fucking more.
You
like,
must know with Ty, there's always got to be so much behind it.
Yeah. Ty, I'm so happy that those three, like with Louis Cyphers, I'm so happy that those guys are creating together, because those guys, I mean, you know, I guess we've all influenced each other.
Yeah.
But those guys have always been an inspiration for me. I remember the first time I met. So I think the first person I met out of those three, it was Nay Loco, and we were doing like a cipher, but in community recording studios. Oh my god, this must have been like 2008, 9, no, this like 2009, something like that, right? So like, you know, I was like 17, 18 at the time. I was there doing a bit of beatboxing, and then I was with like other guys like MCing. Nay Loco comes in, right, and like he's wearing like this like fur coat.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was real or not, but like you could have fooled me, man. He came on just looking swag. He had the do-rag on. He came on the mic and just flossed, man. Like, oh man, he was just the coolest motherfucker in the room.
Yeah.
And beyond, man. I just looked at him like, oh
Always
my
is.
god, this guy is just, man, he had such style and charisma, man. Like that really like put a lot of my faith into like the Nottingham rap scene, that there were people that still wanted to do that, you know. And then I met Ty through my mate Theo, who was an MC at the time as well. And Ty, yeah, he was just, yeah, we got like right with Nay, just clicked on with him straight away, and like, you know, we had a very similar taste in music and styles, and he really opened my eyes to being charismatic, but also clever ways to use metaphors and how to highlight certain words, and you know what I mean, and yeah, it was just so cool. And like Louis Cypher, man, like I met him through his younger brother. Cause I met his younger brother, like Marcus, and shout out to Marcus, and he introduced me to his brother Louis, and Louis just always inspired me. Again, with like, you know, he's quite, like with his lyrics, he can be quite dark, but he can also be very philosophical and very cosmic as well. I found like he loves. I like how his connection with the cosmos, like lyrically and as a person, like really like is within him, you know. And with Louis as well, he was always encouraging to be spontaneous. Like every house party we've been to, if we've done a gig or if we're at a gig, we'll be in the smoking area and he'll be like, "Yo, let's bust a cypher right now." I'll drop a beat, he'll drop a 16, and then all of a sudden other people get involved, and then it just turns into this, you know, lyrical gangbang. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, mate, you're speaking my language.
You know what I'm saying? And house party, So the fact that they're all coming together and creating and doing it in such a cool, conscious, fun, healthy way, and like, you know, I was gutted I couldn't make the gig, man, where they were playing here.
That was wild. Yeah,
that
was wild.
I remember seeing that. Ty sent with the link to the performance and the little cipher at the end, man. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah,
man. You know what I mean? But next time, man. Like, and I feel like I need to redeem myself a little bit after the last time I played here, man. I was, oh god.
Well, if you want to do another one, mate, I mean, you're coming to perform as Pablo, but we're still doing the busking session. So if you fancy doing one where we can film you and get that on, I'd love that.
And hopefully I'll be able to show you some of the new material I've been working on as well. Do you know what I mean? That's it's like pre-recorded into my loop station, but we'll make something work, man. We'll make something
languages
work.
To me there, son.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but but at the same time, you know, I want to come whether you come through, I want to come through with something different for you as well. You know, something a bit more fresh, because like, you know, there's only so many times I can do the same old songs, and you know what I mean.
Oh, mate,
like,
for me though, you can do that forevermore. Yeah. Do the same ones that I love.
Yeah, I'm thinking wrong. I'll always do flower. Because if I don't do, man, there's been gigs where I haven't done that song, and people lose their motherfucking mind.
Tomatoes.
They're coming to you like pissed off. Like, why the fuck did you play? That's the whole reason why I'm here, Alex. The whole reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It must be tricky for artists. I'm thinking that even Eric Clapton or so on, when they write huge, big hitters, and that's all people want then for the test of time then.
Yeah.
Because you do sort of, when you're gaining an audience and you're writing these songs, and then they're buying tickets of that level, 50 quid, 60 quid, 100 quid, they really want those songs to be showcased. And that's, you've got to have that in mind as being a performer. Yeah. This is for my audience. But then you must grow tired of them a little bit, and how you find that balance in your artistry and act, sorry.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing as well. So I'll still play my old songs, because they mean a lot to me anyway. And they've, and sometimes, you know, I can do these songs and kind of not necessarily forget the message of the song, but I will remind myself as I'm performing these tracks. I remember one time I was playing a gig in Wales, and I was in a bit of a rut. I was in a bit of a funk, and I did one of my songs that I watch it with that, ooh, what you waiting for? And as I'm doing the lyrics, I'm relating to them all over again.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it kind of helped me bring I brought myself out of my own funk with my own music. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was quite interesting.
It's with writing, when you're writing from that conscious space of your mind, you're writing for your past self, your healing self, but also your future self that you're not aware of. And I've totally felt that, man, so many times where I've let a piece simmer down that I used to perform all the time. But I had one recently where I heard a friend who was a 17-year-old, so somebody you know of, and it was a knife crime incident again. Yeah. And I was at a school, and I'd stopped performing my knife crime poem for a bit, because I was like, I've got new material. But then you've got that in your arsenal. Then you've got that in your locker.
Exactly. Yeah,
and then you go and perform it with the tenacity, the energy that it warrants, because it's still relevant and it's still there. So you keep writing for writing's sake, and you keep equipping yourself, and then it comes round when it needs to come round. And I think that's a truth that I've started to find through writing.
Yeah.
That if I just keep doing as much as I can possibly do, there'll be a time and a place for it.
Yeah, and like there could be a certain someone could come up to you with a certain project, and you could just go through your vault and be like,
that's true.
Or I could just I could cherry pick that little bit.
I must admit, I've been writing just fun stuff at the minute. I've never done that before.
That's all. It's good to do. Just write. I remember Ty Healy reminded me of a few years ago of something that I said to him. I completely forgot about it. And I think we were having a writing session years and years ago. And I said to him, like, why not just rap? In a sense of like, not just like, I need to have a concept, I need to have a thing. And I'm just like, no, just rap. You know what I mean? Just write. Not necessarily nonsensical, but just have fun.
See what comes.
Yeah, just see what comes, innit? Do you know what I mean? And that's how. And like sometimes I'll do that still. Sometimes I'll be a bit more focused on that. But just quickly going back to like what you're saying about playing the same songs or whatever. So there's a sound engineer that works at the Jacaranda Club in Liverpool called Tom, and I spoke to him just a few days ago about I can't remember how it came up a conversation, but he does the sound engineer for Wheatus. No, I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby. Yeah, you know the words. Don't act like you know.
Everyone was singing along then.
Yeah, 100%. You know it. But basically he was telling me like so every time they play the UK, he's like their house engineer. He says, they're really lovely guys. They still play that song, however. And then they'll still play it to the fans. However, now they do like more prog rock kind of stuff. And he's like, mate, honestly, if you go and see Wheatus, they will blow your fucking mind. I'm like, Teenage Dirtbag Wheatus. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, man. I know that they do the one hit, they do the one hit wonders, but they've got like this real, almost like psychedelic, like progressive rock thing going on, and it will blow your fucking mind. I'm like. Okay. Yeah. And like, this isn't him being biased or anything like that because he's working with them. Yeah. Like, this is a genuine thing. Like, he thought the same thing, but okay, whatever. Then he saw him and was like,
here we go.
Oh, damn.
You somewhat feel for artists when they create that one hit wonder.
Yeah, but I respect that. And then when he said that to me, I was like, right, okay, when they play, I am totally going to go and see that. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, we're going to play this one song, but we're also going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
We're going to catch you slipping, and that's what I love. Yeah. That's what I love. Like I was saying earlier, like artists that are diverse, that have different styles and different genres. Like Kanye West for me. Like every album is different. Every album's not the same, and it changes the game. Yeah, it changes the game. Whether you like it or not, whether you like him or not, he does.
Yeah, he's pioneered something.
Yeah, man. Like he's always doing something different, and those are the artists that I kind of like that have like different sounds. Like Kendrick Lamar as well. He's up there for me, man. Like I don't know what he's gonna do for his next album, man. Well, I know he's gonna take heads off. Yeah, I've got a feeling he's gonna let heads roll with this new album. But I mean, like from him to go from album wise anyway, to go from like Section 80, which is a concept album, and then well they're all concepts, I guess. And then Good Kid, Mad City was a story. To Pimp a Butterfly was just that an absolute masterpiece that had spoken word, jazz, funk, everything. And then going to the Damn album, which at first I was a bit like, it's a bit heavy on the ears, man. This is a bit mental. But then the more I listened to it, the more I understood. And it was, I believe they call it like a suicide album. Not like him actually wanting to commit suicide, but it's like, it's something where it's kind of like they go against the creativity in the first place. And you know what I mean? Like De La Soul, the best example I can give you of a suicide album was De La Soul. 3, that's the magic number. Like, so that album, that song was off their first album called 3 Feet High and Rising, which is a critic. I saw a critic say that it is it's like the Sergeant Pepper of hip hop. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you know, like it's like, and it couldn't be farther from the truth, in my opinion. It could be further from the truth. Like it's just there's nothing else like it. But when that first album came out, everyone ridiculed them because it was like hippie rap. You know what I mean, or hippie hop, or what they called it back then. So
Hippity hop.
hippity hip, and I'm not happening the business. And like their second album was called De La Soul Is Dead, and that's when they started to go a bit more darker,
Right.
and a bit more like, well, fuck you then. You know what I mean? And I think that's the kind of thing that Dan was doing as well with Kendrick Lamar, and I love that as well, because it's also showing people's genius, but also they're also showing their vulnerable side, and like, you know, of their side of like they it's not all like glitz and glam up here, you know what I mean? Like it can be lonely at the top sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, and I love that vulnerability sometimes in artists.
Yeah.
You know.
When you were saying that, one that sprang to mind was like Matt Miller, and every time I listen to Matt Miller now, I can hear the hurt in his voice. I can hear it, how it comes across. Is always, and it was of that conscious level, like the world is so small, tell it ain't, and you're just like, but I really admire their awareness and reflectiveness of, you know, still being real, still showcasing, you know, we made it, but you might think it's all this way, but it really isn't. And when artists can do that and relate back, and still appeal to people like myself or an amateur audience, we're still musical, like we like our music, but we're amateur, and I can go, oh, that actually helps, because I had this tenacious want to be at the top and thriving and pushing and popping, but to have you guys go, listen, remember why you're doing this. It's the enjoyment. It's the passion infused. It's the love for it.
Yeah,
don't lose that, because we race to get here, and it's not all that cracked up.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right with that, man. And that's the kind of thing is, you know, be humble with this shit. You know what I mean? Be humble with this, like as much as you possibly can. Like on stage, go nuts.
Yeah.
Go absolutely bonkers. Like I'll be when I'm on the stage, I'm Motormouf. I'm the guy that's being loud and shouty and maybe sometimes a bit cheeky. When I'm off the stage, I'm Alex Young. You know, and sometimes there's been a lot of I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast I had with you with Lexi, but there's a lot of times where Motormouf and Alex can get a bit mixed up. You know what I mean? And I don't really know how the best way to describe it, to be honest. It's just one of those, you know. Where, yeah, you know, maybe I'll kind of, I don't know, maybe at times I think I have taken it for granted, you know what I mean, being Motormouf and be like, hey, I'm this cool beatboxer, I can go to this party, and you know what I mean, or I can get into this gig, or whatever, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it can land me a bit of hot water, you know what I mean?
Really?
And, well, not necessarily hot water, like I'll get in trouble with other people, but I will put Alex in hot water for his own sake, you know what I mean? His own mental and physical health.
Yeah.
You know?
I do.
So it's one of those of finding that balance. Because I think when you are a performer, there is, even if you go by your own name, there's still this alter ego you have.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny, I helped do another podcast called the Prime Life Project.
Okay.
So it's with a personal trainer guy, and he's such a cool guy though. His ethos in life is to help people not feel as shit as he felt, because he got really suicidal. So he's very passionate about mental health and so on. And he got a guy on called Paul Cope. Now Paul does, he's got a book out called How to Solve All Life's Problems. I mean, it's a big statement, but I actually believe after listening to this guy, he can do it.
Okay.
And he works with loads of footballers, because footballers particularly, after they've finished their heydays, where the fuck do you go from there? And, you know, as a musician, you're all right, man. If you keep your mind, you can keep going and going and going. But your legs, they give up very quickly.
Yeah,
so
very quick.
They got to really think about what they're going to do next and next. But Paul, again, he'd made all his riches, successes. He had a an accountancy firm and built that up. It done awesome. But depression, it doesn't discriminate.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he ended up
Exactly.
really struggling. And what you were just saying then, he talks in depth about, and he's built a whole not page, but like a chapter in his book about what he's ended up helping people on. And it's all these ideas of characters that we've got. We've got so many characters in our heads.
Right, okay.
And what it is building an awareness. So he makes people build character profiles. Like if you've got a Motormouf, they write down what's his character profile, what's he about, what does he do, why does he do it, how does he act. And, there's people ending up writing down like 3 A4 pages of just a Motormouf.
Interesting.
And then they do, right, what other characters have we got? Okay, I've got or they'll call it a Roger or whatever. They can pick the names, but they write down who's Roger. Okay, he's a little bit of a angry man. He gets pissed off at the small things in life. So anyway, you've got all these character profiles and sheets down that they've all got. Now, what he helps them build with meditation, with lots of practice and help, is you've got to imagine them all. You're doing a play. So you got a play in your head, and you've got one mic on the stage. Now, what you need is a self-awareness to introduce them on the stage, but not have them come to the mic at the same time, because there's going to be very convoluted, very confused, but you're sending them up in the right situations. So you know where you are, what does this warrant? And it can be very interchangeable, like the mic can shift very quickly, but your self-awareness of knowing who's on the stage at that time and when you need them forward.
That's interesting.
The way he described it, man, and the depth he went into, it fully... It's Paul Cope. I'll send it you over. It's such a good podcast. Young Liverpudlian guy. Maybe you can meet him. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because then he put me on Stephen Warnock, who used to play for like England and Liverpool and was in the Champions League final and that.
Do you know this guy, or was it just?
Yeah. Did a podcast.
Sick.
And then he put me on to Stephen, and Stephen Warnock, the footballer, did a podcast on here, and he was just talking about Paul and how he literally saved his life, like your Lexi story. Paul did the exact same thing in a Liverpool night out, just saw Stephen, and he was at the lowest of his lows, and he just said, come with me, I can actually give you the answers, I can save you from yourself. And it was so beautiful, but it was in a part of that, like, just being aware of all these different characters that we've got and knowing how to utilize them rather than suppress them or hate them. I thought it's stunningly good.
I can dig that, man. I can really dig that.
Like we've got an element of that about us, buddy. Rhythmical Mike, Mikey Markham, Michael Markham. But I've got Rogers and everything.
I feel like there's been like different. I guess it is just like Alex. Oh, I guess from now on, like for now, I see it as Alex and Motor. You know what I mean? But I'll have to look into this,
mate. I'm going to send you that podcast because it was one of those where I went. I love listening to spiritual podcasts and mindful podcasts and mental health podcasts because it fills my brain with what I need. But most of the time, I'm listening with nostalgia. Like, it's a no. I'm like, oh, I like how they're saying it. I've already been told this many times. Sort of live in the moment. What they rehash it a lot. Which can be beautiful because it's like an affirmation. But this podcast was the first time I listened to something. It was like, this is a completely new bit of information I've never been told before.
Okay.
Because all them character things, you look at Split or something, it's been known as sort of like mental health, multiple personality disorder, we called it. But he's saying, no. That's when you're not conscious of it. So you've got all these personalities going on, and they're just sporadically coming out whenever and as ever they want. But he's going, right, I'm going to say that's okay, but we need to actually control this part of our nature. It's so cool. So I'll send you that over, man.
I'll have to try and dig it one if I get a chance, man. Like, it's really weird because, like, I feel like I've been so out of whack with, like, my my spiritual side as of, like, recently. I mean, like, you know, the year and a half, I guess we've all had, you know, I'm not trying to exclude myself out here by any means. But yeah, I had like a mad shit going on, man. Like, you know, like start of 2020, I lost my grandma, and I really resonated with me. I lost my homeboy Joe Wheatley. I was I lost a couple other friends. I was made homeless for 7 months, like surfing. Luckily, I had people I could surf with, thank God. And then me and Max got a place, and then we broke up, and it's not even been like a case of what's the point. It's just kind of like I've fallen out of whack with it, but again, it's awareness of that, and I think like slowly as of recently, I've been like trying to get a bit more of a routine and trying to look after my physical and mental health as well. Like, you know, I'm still getting there. I'm still getting there. But the past couple of weeks, I've been like, okay, things are starting to kind of like settle a bit now, and I'm really trying to get into it as well. And the thing is with me, it's like, I do see myself as a spiritual person. I feel like I have, on quite a few occasions, through psychedelics, or even just through certain meditations, breathing techniques, I've managed to get myself into the like, at least peek through the keyhole of the spiritual realm. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll walk in it, but I come back. That's the thing. Because that's the thing that can be quite dangerous. I feel for a lot of people that get into...
Becomes an addiction though then, doesn't it? They end up actually not living the premise of this spiritual practice, which you are doing unconsciously or unknowingly then, but your music, when you're performing, when you're just doing life, that is flow. That is the premises that we're taught, you're actually getting to live out. And that's the main thing, man. It's the most integral and vital and important thing, is go and find out about it, read about it, and then you've got this equipment then, an armor to go and implement into life. And I see that in you so much, brother. So I think... don't ever beat yourself up for jumping out of the spiritual train, because it's just the jargon you're not taking in. You're actually living out the what you need to be doing. So I think that's it's a beautiful aspect of your nature, man. I've
big up, man.
genuinely been inspired by you so much more than you can imagine. And that to me is a spiritual element of the nature of, do you know what, Mikey? Get up. Start doing it. If you love that, go and pursue it. There's so much to be learned in somebody doing what they love and doing their thing. And that's what you embody, brother. 100%. It's them moments where you may feel, oh, actually, I've got discomfort now. Or, oh, I feel like there's a new bit of wisdom or knowledge to be gained. There's spiritual books, there's Paul Copes, there's podcasts out there to go and tune into, and you might find that one thing then. And that's what it did to me at that moment was, I needed a little bit of remembrance here, or something to live for.
You know, certain people work, certain people don't. Like, I'm not gonna go into it right now, and I'm really I won't. But like, at first I liked his ideals, like some of his ideas and stuff like that. And then afterwards, I was just thinking, for me, I kind of see this guy as quite toxic for my kind of practices. Jordan B. Peterson, man. No.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really digging him. Yeah. No, I was at first.
He was on Adderall.
What?
He was fired up all the time when you were watching him on Adderall. Like, he's gone into rehabilitation for years of it. But
what is Adderall? What is Adderall?
It's like speed, but it's going on to all these talk shows all the time, and you know, he's just fueled up and fired, and you see him, he's just go. And I suppose,
that makes sense.
Hitler was on Adderall. but
that makes sense.
I mean, but obviously he's going with a better premise, and he's clinical practitioner. Is it psychologist, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a genius, really intelligent man.
In his own right. There's certain things that he's talked about. I'm like,
he's too tenacious with it, but that can't help.
But like, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, if he's inspired people to do good things, then by all means, go ahead. I'm not trying to be here like cancel Jordan B. No, it's just not for me. He's just not my kind of cup of tea. But then again, you know, I don't really listen to podcasts. I like, ironically, I'm on one. I've said a couple of yours, but like in terms of like, well, not that I don't listen to podcasts, but like, because there's so many now, you know what I mean? It's like where do I kind of begin and stuff like that. So I'd love to pick your brain like more about some other ones to try and check out.
I'll send you down some. Right, I mean, do you like Russell Brand at all?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of flipped it around, hasn't he, that guy?
Yeah,
Like, I've not checked his podcast.
Really
like,
interesting humour. I like his, but he has a book out called Mentors. And that really helped me realign with that because, you know, when I used to listen to Russell Brand or Joe Rogan or Jordan Peterson, Fern Cottons I really like, but listening to these people, I'd slowly start becoming them because I was just taking in all their views and thoughts and I was just saying them, so regurgitating. But Russell Brand's book, Mentors, actually saying, listen, what you need to be doing is pick a mix in.
Yeah.
So some of Jordan Peterson's ideals, like tidy your bedroom before you start changing the world or whatever it is. It's a beautiful premise. We can take that one. But as soon as he says something a little bit too far down the line, you know, I've listened to insanely right-wing people talk and agreed with a premise and I've took it. The rest of it, I'm like, no, not for me, thanks. But same with left-wing, like, extremes on either end where they've been rabbiting on and telling everyone they're doing it wrong, but then they'll say something really profound and beautiful and you can handpick that. So I think that's the maturity element starting to creep in, isn't it, where you go, I love that, I don't agree with that, and having that in your psyche and DNA will really help you sculpture and craft out you and the world you want to manifest.
That's bang on there, man. Like yeah, just like you said, like picking and mixing, like, you know, certain ideals, like, you know, even with music, with rap, like, you know, like I can hear certain, like sometimes I'll do it kind of subconsciously, like I'll write a verse, and then I'll be like, oh shit, I got that flow from Mos Def, and then this bit's from Eminem, and then I got this flow and like pattern from, I don't know, maybe it's some local head or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's a subconscious thing, but if it helps, it helps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a stunning attitude. Definitely. I mean, I think that's me at the minute with writing, doing that. Yeah. Let's just be playful with it for a bit, because when it got too serious, all I was trying to write was that accord, and then I thought, oh, it needs to be this way, that way, this way. I think some of your bars, some of local healers, talking to people on this podcast a lot more now, has really helped me change my perspective in writing and how I can be with it. My recent one, it is about films. The whole thing, I've just picked loads of films I liked. I thought, how am I going to fit that in? And the starting one was I'm a nice guy, like Jim Carrey and Me, Myself and Irene. I'm a little bit sensitive and hard to touch like polystyrene.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Because I thought I'm just going to write the silliest lyric I can think of to start off with, but then see where it went. Yeah. And eventually it did go down to the Rhythmical Mike.
Yeah. You find like that kind of curve.
I couldn't just keep going, right, bar. Hey, there's something in that. I sound like a sheep.
Man's got more bars than a sheep.
Yeah, but yeah, it did, and I really enjoyed that process. I was sort of going, let's take the influence from these guys, but then find yourself through it, and it's really beautiful, man. I love writing. I hope I keep my brain about me, because it's something I know I'm going to do forevermore. It's always going to be there for me, and it's always going to save me. So I encourage everybody, just pick up the pen, you bunch of dicks.
Pick it up. Pick it!
Dude, we've got to get this bus ready, and we've only got half an hour.
Oh, man, yeah.
So, mate, can I just say, I love you so much.
I love you too,
I actually love you. Like, you're such an incredible human, and thank God there's a Motormouf on this planet, this insane planet. Thank you for being here, bro.
Thank you for having me, Mikey, man.
Where can people find out all your shit?
So yeah, I'm on Facebook, Motormouf, all one word. Mouth is spelled M-O-U-F. I'm on Instagram, young_Motormouf. It's Facebook and Instagram, really. Like, I've got a few things on YouTube, not too many, but a few things on YouTube. A few things on Spotify with people like Space Dolphin, Fraser Larry, John Joe, and the list goes on. Type in Motormouf, you'll see like some all the stuff on there. But more stuff to come, man. I know I keep saying, oh, EP coming soon, man. I don't know when it's gonna come. I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna fuck y'all up.
I'm ready.
Now you're laughing.
I'm ready, baby.
I'm gonna fuck y'all up. Trust me, man. But no, thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure. And real proud of what you're doing, man. Like the what you've made from such a just from one little foundation into this, you know what I mean?
Thank you so much,
incredible
man.
to see, man. It really is.
We're really enjoying it. I'm so excited to see what next. But
too.
I'm enjoying the now at the minute. And
Yeah, let's enjoy the now, bro.
that's on the bus with you. Ready
Enjoy
to
it.
talk to some youths of Ripley, you know what I mean?
Know what I mean?
You know what I mean, lads?
Let's go inspire, bro. Let's go inspire.
Guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back at the Bus Sessions podcast. I'm going to leave you on this. I always do. Be nice to one another, you beautiful bunch of buggers. You're beautiful. You're a bunch of buggers. Thank you very much. Love you. Be nice to one another.